Hi, and good afternoon, everybody that's with us today for Virtual Thursday 2021-4. And I had a couple little situation with my controls guys that's with me. Are we on the PowerPoint slide? If you can let me know, please.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Okay, welcome again, everybody, to Virtual Thursday 2021, our fourth edition. And we're going to go ahead and start rolling on this. And we're going to talk about reports today, some tips and tricks for you. My name is Mark Wolf, lead international trainer for emergency reporting. And with me, I have Tom Lewis, our enterprise training manager, Greg Simmons, James Andrette, and Michael Fabian, all regional trainers for us. And I appreciate them stepping in, and they will be answering questions throughout the presentation today. So if you do have questions, please put them into the chat. We'll get to all of them, and we ask you to please stay on topic today. One thing I want to mention as well is in the handout section of your GoToMeeting controls, you should be able to download a document. I did download a job aid is what we call it, and it's a job aid for our reports based upon the training module. It gives you tons of information about those particular reports, so have at that. It's also available in the knowledge base. I want to mention some training opportunities that we always have here, Virtual Thursdays. They're free. We usually run these on the first Thursday at 1100 hours Pacific time. You can adjust that time for your time zone. We do provide online training. The basic starting point for that is 3-hour blocks of training with one of our trainers. And we do that online and customize those programs and presentations to meet your needs. We do provide on-site training, which has pretty much been on hold due to the COVID pandemic that's been raging across the whole world. We hope to get back on the road pretty soon, so stay tuned for news on that. Also, regional training academies. We have a few of those scheduled and a couple that I want to mention that are being rescheduled, and I don't know if they are rescheduled yet, confirmed 100%, but we'll let you know that the Regional Training Academy for Jacksonville, Florida is getting rescheduled. Austin, Texas in May is getting rescheduled, and firmed up currently right now is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, June 8th through the 10th. Charlotte, North Carolina, August 3rd through the 5th. And I don't have a slide for it, but what we'll mention to everyone is that we are planning to an online training academy, and you'll see information about those very, very soon. For more information and to sign up for those, go to emergencyreporting.eventbrite.com. You can also go to our marketing website, which is straight up emergencyreporting.com. Go to the customer success section in the training and learning center, and you can find out more information about our regional training academies, or you can email us at training@emergencyreporting.com. And without further ado, we are going to go ahead and jump right into the presentation today. So today we're going to be talking about some report basics, and we want to get into and tips and tricks. The first place I'm going to go is, some of you may not know this, but we have recently in our administration module set up some new and increased roles and permissions for reports. So I am going to the admin module, as you can see, and we're going to go to security roles and permissions. And within a role and permission, and we have a few in here, I'm just going to pick one of them and we'll take a look at it. And the permissions that I'm specifically going to mention to you now is that we have a whole section now for the reports module. The availability to access reports in the past was based upon your access into a module. Now, not only can you grant access to the reports through the reports module, but in the event you need to restrict them, as you can see I'm doing now for this role, if I would save this, I am removing the access for this particular role and any person that's assigned to it from those particular reports. Gives you a little bit added security within your department. So again, that's in roles and permissions. In a permission section, you do have some granular permissions for different modules in this particular section, reports module of roles and permissions. So that's a starting point for you. That may be, we hope, the first tip and trick that you have for the day. We're going to go ahead now and just transition directly to the reports module. And I'll let you know, first of all, that we do have in our commercial site, which most of you use right now, 737 pre-built reports that are available for you to pull data from. And we'll get into how do you find them all a little bit. That's the main thrust of today's presentation. So basically, we're going to start out with letting you know that the reports are broke down into the category that the data is pulled from. So we have a section for administration, and basically every module is represented in here. Concerning group reports, if you see that, that's a special set of reports. And you have to be part of a group to get to these. And you'll know that if you're part of a group. In some cases, we have a statewide group. In other cases, we may have a county group that has been set up, and then you can pull data from some of these reports in the group list. I wanted to just point that out for you. We get a lot of questions about that. Hydrants, incidents, inventory, maintenance, occupancy, payroll, permits, training, and then our vision product if you have that in your particular account. Now, to get to the reports, you can do it a couple ways. The first way we want to show you is let's go down to incidents. So let's say we need some data based upon our incident responses. We're going to show you how we would do this and build a pathway that we're going to display at the top of this page. So we go to incidents. And let's say that my inquiry is involving our personnel on the department. So now remember we went to incidents, now we're going to personnel. So at the top of the page, you can see that we went to incidents and we are now in the personnel section. And let's say that we need to know what is their percentage of responses, which is something a lot of folks need to know for. So we go down to the tree and we increase and lengthen out that pathway. And we're going to just pick the 1620 report response percentage per station, per personnel, for incident types, for personnel. Now, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but the title of the report can give you some pretty good clues into what is included in that particular report. Also, got my mouse pointer right below the number of that report. All of our reports have a document ID. That's the report number. And this particular report is 1620. Now, in the grid overall, when you see the list of reports like this, you're going to see a higher number at the top of the page. And what we've done is sorted this based upon not the title, but the document ID number, the report number. The bigger the number is, the newer the report. So the more benefit it may have for you. So that's why we decided to sort them in that fashion in these particular lists that we're looking for here. So again, we're just selecting it, going down through the tree, creating our pathway. Reports, incidents, personnel, response percentage. We find a particular report we want to take a look at. Now all we have to do is give it a good old mouse click and we will jump right into that particular report. And if your report has parameters that you can select, they will be listed over here on the left side. You can put in a date, manually type it in. There's some quick pick buttons for you. You can select a particular month. You can also change the year for that. A quarter. Now this goes off of the calendar year quarters. So if your department or organization runs off of a fiscal year that doesn't necessarily line up with quarter one starting January 1 and ending on December 31st, you may need to go in and manually enter those dates in that date picker. And then you can just pick for a whole year at a time. And once you make that selection, we're going to leave this selected at all personnel. And I'm going to talk about this pick multiple option in a little while. And my incident types, also, we're going to leave some discussion for this pick multiple later on. Basically, right now, we can straight up look at all incident types, or we can filter by a specific incident type. And we're going to go ahead and select the Create Report button, and we are going to jump right into this particular report. And as you can see it right there, and we've got some percentages out here for response from different stations in this particular report. That kind of lends a discussion right now about a few keywords, and we can see two of them in the title of this report. There's 3 keywords within ER that you want to look for in the titles. The first one I highlighted blue there for you is the word per. The second keyword that we can see right now is for. Now, typically, when you see the word per, which you may also see the word by, both of those, by and per, per, imply some type of grouping. So these group them by station, and you can see that down here at the actual report I rendered out. It's broke down by station there. The word for indicates that we have a parameter for that. Now, it's not an absolute, and you can see that in this case, we have a parameter for incident types and also for personnel, but we do have a date parameter on this report too. So technically in that title, it should also say for date. However, some of the reports have so many parameters, the report title would wrap 3 or 4 lines because we would have that many parameters in it for you. So that is getting to a report and a few other tidbits from just going down through the tree, searching for them through the module, and creating that pathway for you. What I'm going to do now is we're going to jump back into the percentage response. I want to show you one other feature we have on these pages. If you may notice, when I highlight this particular report, the 1647 report, if I come all the way over here to the right, there's a little heart right there, and that little heart is not filled in. Now, one thing we're going to point out to you is that everybody has a favorites list at the top of the page here. If I would go into that, it would show you any report that I marked as a favorite. And how you mark them as a favorite is by selecting that the heart right there, just like that. And if I want to do the 1620 report, the one we were just looking at, I can select it right there. The other place that I can select a report for a favorite is if I'm looking at some parameters, you'll see a link right below the parameters that simply states add to favorites. And when I select that, it'll add that particular report, 1620, to my favorites. And if we look here now, you'll see 1647 and 1620 are in my favorites list. Now, to clean up your favorites list, if you'd like to, go to it and you can select on that little heart again, and that will take it off of your favorites list. And we're going to jump back to the all reports page. This is where you're going to land when you first come into the reports module. And we just talked about the favorites list. I just showed you how to create your own favorites. Now, if I make a list of favorites, it's mine, it's not yours. So if somebody else needs to add that to their favorites list, they will have to do that on their own. It's an individual process for creating your own favorites list. And we're going to jump over here to the popular section. We do keep track of which reports are run the most. And when we select popular, you'll see the list, and there's 20 reports in this list, and you can see that I've favorited some of these. On this particular list are the 20 most popular reports that are run. Now, this list can change a little bit. I'll give you a good example of that is this report right here, the 1819 report, the AFG report that's brand new. And you can see that it made our most popular list already. And that's because our customers are pulling that report, I've been told, an average of 200 times a day. So we know that report was been well received, and it's pulling some good data for you folks when you're making your application for the Assistance to Firefighters grant. That was a high priority project, and we got that done just in time for that grant application period. This report list of the popular reports can change occasionally. They'll go in and run numbers on it and put the most popular reports in that list of 20 for you. Okay, let's jump back to the all reports, and we're going to go down and take a look at, if I can find them quickly, I hope. And we're going to go into incidents again and fire, and we're just going to come into structure fires. Looking for a few keywords in here like we talked about before. So I find one here, the 1607 report, fire containment by incident type. So again, that is a indication that we're going to group these reports by incident type. Down here at the 871 report, you can see we have several parameters here. 4 response time, 4 flame spread, For date range, that's again not an absolute that you're going to see every parameter listed here, but when we do select it, in this particular case, we have the date range, our fire spread, and our compliance time. So by per 4, remember those. And look at those titles. They're going to give you some really, really good clues of what that particular report contains. And it's a good idea just to take a look at it to see if the report information is going to be presented in a format that you like. And an example of that I'm going to give you is we're going to jump into the 553 report, which is on the list of 20 most popular reports, by the way. And if we go in and run this report for all of 2020, you're going to see that this report breaks the information down and presents it. Pull that down where you can see a little better. We have a pie chart graph at the top of the page, and then we give you the numbers and the breakdown, realizing, I hope you folks realize this is a training and testing account that we put data into and scrub it out on a continuous basis. So that's why there's very few calls listed here. However, if this is what we need, we've got the picture that paints 1,000 words. And then in addition to that, this particular report does present information on that second page broke down into specific incident types. On the front page, it's by the major groupings of the series, such as fire calls, EMS calls, false alarms, and so forth. So again, take a look at the report and see if the information is presented in a manner that you like and you need to display it at. Let's go back out to the main all reports page, and now we're going to talk about a few things, such as what you can do in this particular field right here. So this is a search field, and we can actually put keywords in here. Now, I've got a list of some keywords that we're going to try to look up. One of them we get at this time of year anyway, a lot of questions on is, hey, do you guys have reports for filling out the NFPA annual survey? And our answer is, why, yes, we do. So if we put in a keyword to do a keyword search, such as NFPA, and press enter, if it finds a result out there for you, it matches that text you put in, it's going to display it on this page. So you can see for that phrase or term, NFPA, we found 7 results. And starting with the second one down is the NFPA annual survey. This had to be broken down into multiple reports because of the complexity of that data that the NFPA wants. And we felt it was just better and cleaner for you to run the various reports and take that data and put it right into your NFPA annual survey for you. Now, when you're looking at a reports, after you do a keyword search like that, you're going to see a little bit of information here we'll talk about as well. You're going to see the title of the report with the doc ID number. The top one here is 1722 report, which is the NFPA 1710 report. This text in the italics right below that is the information that's presented in the footer of the report. You always want to take a look at the footer to make sure what some of the conditions for that particular report might be. And here's one of the key ones. I'm going to just highlight it blue for you real quick here. Is this report only includes reviewed incidents. So if you have incidents out there in your grid that are in incomplete or complete status, this report will not pull that data. So you want to take a look at the information in that footer to make sure that that reports what you need, and your incidents in this case, or your training records, or your inspection records are all reviewed or authorized, because that's the only way some of the reports will pull that data. So that's an example of a keyword search. And the information on this particular page and the last part of this will be that you'll also see the parameters listed here. In this particular case, we've got a date selector, apparatus selector, response modes, zones, and incident type. So all good information for you when you do a keyword search. So I've got a whole list of some keyword searches that we're going to take a look at. First of all, our new report, which is the Assistance to Firefighter Grant Report. I'm just going to type in AFG and press enter. And this will go directly to that report because it only found one result. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about this report now. This is brand new out of the box, as they say here in Ohio. When we run this particular report, it's broke down into the data you need for your AFG report, for the department characteristics, your call volume data. This report centers around that. And what I'm going to do now is point out to you is, I think right now, if you're submitting for the AFG, I don't know if actually, because I'm not directly employed by the fire department anymore, or is it looking for the 2021 report or the 2020? Because this will go back.
2021.
Okay, so it's the 2021 grant application period. So I did this right. And you can see, let me download this so we can see it a little bit better. And we'll talk about it here. This will show you your run data. Now my year is 2021, so it showed me my run data from the 3 previous years. Broke down into all this section. We did a lot of work on this. This again was somewhat of a difficult report to generate data for because of how they have the information formatted here, but we got it done. And here's that particular report. A few mouse clicks and boom, you've got that data that you can take from this page and put that data right into your grant application. Now, one thing I do want to talk about here are a few improvements that we're doing to this currently. They should be done fairly soon. And some of these, I believe, are getting deployed today in our deploy that's happening probably within the next couple hours. Anyway.
Yep, you're right, Mark.
Okay, thanks, Tom. We got quickly heard from some of you folks out there that in the online, when you're putting your data in, we got the columns backwards. It starts with the most recent year, then it goes back in time in a reverse order than we displayed it. That's getting fixed. If you make a lot of calls, there was a long wait time that was totally unacceptable. They're improving how that pulls the data to improve that wait time to make it shorter for you. There was some confusion and some information on the mutual aid provided or given data that we're cleaning up, which should make really, really solid numbers for that. And I will show you in the call volume general, and there's another section down below about EMS calls. In the top one here, call volume B, how many EMS BLS response calls. When we originally produced this, we did not include the incident action code of 31, which is provide first aid and check for injury. So we're adding that to get you better data on that. So it's on that particular coding for the action taken, 31 or 32 will display data for the BLS, and code 33 provided ALS will be in that line C EMS ALS calls you had. Now down below, you'll also see some information. Some of it may be a similar down here in the EMS service incidents section down below here. Now another big improvement, it's not going to help you right now, but if your department performs community paramedics services out there in your community, there is a couple questions on here that relate to community paramedics calls. It just so happens, even if you have an MSIS 3 on your particular account, which is our electronic patient care report, a lot of the states do not have a coding section for indicating you went to, it was a community paramedic call. So how we've got around this, and you can see I've got a number out here, one of those, and I've got one down here too, because in the EMS section, how many community paramedic calls, it's down here, we've got a 1 here. So to let you know how this is working within the system, how our software engineers designed this is we've got a couple things that you need to know. So we are going to jump over to this other tab, and we are going to go to the admin module and to user-defined fields. And I've got one in here. It's this one right here. We're going to take a look at it for you. So if you set your custom question up like I'm showing you right here, was this a community paramedic call? And that text is identical to that. and you set up answers, whether you have a single selection set up, that's what I would recommend, or if you can use type in. What it's looking for to pull data into that particular field is a yes answer. And it has to be that exact text. So we just made this one up. You've got a selection for yes and one for no. So when you select yes for that, you're going to get data pulled into that field. But the third element that you need for that to display that community paramedicine call is your incident type. The incident type needs to fall within the EMS call types, starts at 300 and goes up to 399. So as long as your call is with that call type, your incident type 300 series, you've got the custom question in correctly, and you have a yes selection for your answers to that, it's going to pull data for that particular field and help you out with that report and pulling data for it. So that is the AFG. I wanted to point that out for this. This report has been well received, and we appreciate the feedback we've got from our customers, and we will make a few improvements to that. You should see those later on today. Okay, let's go back into the reports, and we are going to go through a few of the favorite keyword searches that we have. A couple of mine are, if you're looking for NEMSIS 3, our patient care reports, if you're a ePCR customer, N3, press enter, and you'll find 15 results for that. Now, just because of how the reports were put in and titled, things like that, you can see this doesn't say NEMSIS 3 out here. It says N3. We shortened it up a little bit. So you may need to do a couple different searches for patient care reports. N3 is one of them. The other one you might want to type in. And by the way, this search field is not case sensitive. Another keyword is NEMSIS. When we select that, you'll see that we have 90 results for that. So we have a tremendous amount of reports based upon our NEMSIS data. Either search for the word NEMSIS, N3, or both. Another favorite, I think this is one of Tom's favorites, keyword search is just the word patient. When we select that, we get 66 results back, and where the system is doing is looking down here in the title and then the footer for that word, and there it is buried right there. So when it finds that, it will put it out here into our results. Another good keyword search, I use this quite a bit myself, is the word zone. So if you have incident zone set up, we have that 4 zone parameter. It's going to pick that up and put it out to here. Another one of Tom's favorite is the word dispatch. You see we get 86 results for that. And you'll find out a lot of these particular reports, if you search off a dispatch, have something to do with compliance time, whether it's a turnout time, total response time, some type of time for that. Another favorite of mine is the word custom. Used to use this quite a bit when we're searching for reports based upon custom questions. Now, however, we're getting a lot more results back, and we don't have that many results for just reports that have custom questions or custom fields in it, because also we have now built a lot of custom reports. This report is fairly new. The Kentucky Training Report version 2 is a custom report that we generated for our customers down in Kentucky. Now, if we have a next example for you is that this is a custom report. The 1829 report is a custom report for LOSAP. We have a number of reports for LOSAP. So if your department uses the LOSAP system, you're looking for reports, most of the LOSAP reports were created as a custom report for a particular fire department or fire company. In this case, it's East Windsor Fire Company number 2. There are, however, still a couple LOSAP reports that are generic that you can search for. So that lends us to another keyword, basically, is the word LOSAP. Let's see, we're looking at this one. This is incident statistics, alarm to arrival, and this has, I believe, custom question in it. Nope, this is again another custom report. And we'll find one down here. There are some of these that revolve around custom questions.
Mark, I know that 1643 deals with custom fields, like user-defined fields that people put in.
Thank you, Michael.
It has response times as well, but it does include those.
Okay, so here we go. Thank you for that. Kept me from having to search down here because we have so many custom reports now. This list got a little crowded. So the 1643 is a custom fields, pulls data from the custom questions that you put in. So that's an example of that keyword. Let's jump back up and put a couple more in. Another one is if you run an EMS or you're interested in casualty reports, I believe this one will bring back in also fire service casualty report data in it. And let's just go down. This is one of my favorites, the word compliance. I think if all of us trainers talk together, most of us would have this as a keyword that we remember for doing report searches. And the compliance, when we're using this keyword, most of the time it returns a result having something to do with compliance time. So if we have a compliance time criteria, first unit on scene by 5 minutes 30 seconds, all units by 11 minutes, whatever your department may use, you can find those reports with the keyword search of compliance. Find one you like, save it to your favorites. Here's another one of Tom's favorite keywords is delay. And this just goes right to the report, shows us incident delays. And this has to be tied to a PCR because that's where you would indicate those delays if you have our Nemesis 3 product. A keyword search that I like that returns a lot of results is the word average. We're always looking for reports for average response times, average personnel on a call, things like that. So if we use the word average, right now it's returning 61 results. Quite a bit of data to go through to find the one you want. However, it's a great keyword search word. And last but not least, this is one of my favorites, is the in and out reports. Just a handful of them here, 3 in fact. And what these are useful for, if you're a multi-station department and you want to find out how many times your apparatus are responding to calls within their station's district and outside of their station's district, these are the reports just for you. They're called in and out reports, and you can see we find that phrase in the title in all 3 of these. And you may have some others that you would consider your favorites as well. Alrighty, so let's go back out to the main page. And one thing that you can do, I'll show you right now, is in the search field at the top, you can type in the report ID and go to the reports that way as well. So if you know them by the number, which most of us trainers do, and here's one of the favorite numbers that we put in is a 779 report. The 779 report is a pretty important report for everyone. This is our master list of reports. So every report that we have available, all 737 of them are listed on this report. And we've done a recent change to this. And I want to talk about that here in just a moment. Now, this report used to be right about, I think, 16 or 17 pages. As you can see right now, if you can read that, it is now 41 pages. And I'll show you the reason for that. Now, this report, first of all, it went from being a portrait format to landscape, which we get fewer reports per page. This report contains the doc ID, our report number, the title of it, the pathway that you can find it on, and now this is a new addition, is that we display all the information that is in the footer in this particular report. That's the big reason that this report became kind of long in number of pages. Some of the footers are quite long, like you see for the 1662 report right through here. And you type in, if you go to the main reports page and just type in one of these numbers, you'll get to that specific report, or you can search by a keyword or go down through the pathway that it's displaying in that column there in the middle. So this should be on everybody that's an admin level that's pulling data from the system's list of favorites, or just remember that number, 779, master list of reports. And again, we just recently improved this report and added some information for you. And that comes from a customer request, folks like you asking us to make improvements to the system. And here we've got that delivered for you. Another place I'm going to show you that you can find special reports that we have. And what we're going to do is jump into the administration module and reports available there. And if you look down this particular page, we've got some reports on account information, agency stats, apparatus, incidents, library, patients, personnel. And here's one I'm going to all the way at the bottom of the list, reports module info. When I select that, what this particular section displays for us are different reports for personnel, a list of reports for incident type, reports for rank, reports for shift, reports for zone. So if we have a zone parameter, most generally speaking, they're going to be on that particular report. List of reports for station, and then our master list of reports at the bottom of the list. Give an example of this is the list of reports for zone. And when we take that, we'll just download it so we can all see that a little bit better. And we can build zones within the ER in 3 different places. We can build zones in the hydrants module, the incidents module, and the occupancy module. So this particular report will give us a list of those reports that have that 4 zone parameter. Here we have one for hydrants. We have a number of them for incidents. And Tom is on the same page as I am. I know our other trainers are as well, is that if you are using a zone, incident zones that you set up in the admin module, you have all of these reports available to you. So set up your geographical zones within your jurisdiction, and then you can really do some really detailed searching on reports that have that zone parameter. Most of them have the 4 zone parameter. Some of them do give you that keyword of per zone like that, but it gives you all that information. And then the third section down here, occupancy. Our occupancy zones will display here, and reports that we can have that filter or groupings. And we also have a couple here for pull from payroll. It's actually an incident report, pull data from incidents, but it's tied to payroll. And we have a few for the vision product too. So those are some of them specialty reports for you. So let's go do a couple things I want to show you that I mentioned earlier, just give you a little bit of information on a couple things. We're going to talk about the difference between a single picker and a multi-picker in our parameters. Some of the older reports specifically will have a what we call a single picker on them in a parameter. So I'm going to go to the 1179 report, assigned occupancy list for inspector. So we've got the for inspector text in the title, and here's that parameter. Right here is our inspectors. And this is an example of a single pick. We can choose select all assigned inspectors or an individual inspector. That's a single picker on the list. So here I picked James as my assigned inspector, and the report rendered out the data where the occupancies are assigned to him as the inspector. That is a single picker. Now our powerful tool in this is our multi-picker. And to show you how that works, we're going to go to the 1641 report, and this is a compliance report. It's one of my favorite compliance response compliance reports. In this particular report, you see we have numerous parameters over here. For example, zones. We're going to take a look at this, and I've got that multi-pick option, which gives us the ability, if I select that, we can increase from the single picker up to a multi-picker. Now in this particular account, I've got it broken down into 4 zones. So if I select a couple of these, let's see, I want to look at calls only in my east zone and my north zone. So I pick them from the available list. This may be personnel, it may be apparatus, it may be stations, it may be occupancies or whatever. We select them over here, and we have a bulk operation that you can do here. You can filter them and select add all, throw them into the right hand panel here, and then we'll title this East and North zones and save that. So when I run this particular report now with that parameter, let me put some other data in here. I'm going to use last year. My compliance time first in is by 5 minutes 30 seconds. Everyone else would need to be in by 11 minutes. All incident types, all stations, and we'll create that report. And you'll see this report only includes incidents in the east and north zones. And we'll see that one of the other factors I want to show you is at the top of the report. All the parameters that we have are listed. I'll highlight them for you right below the title. And if we've got data that we pick in those parameters, it's going to display that up here. So in this case, we're looking for east zone and north zone only. It's excluding those other zones when we render the data for that particular report. So in this particular case, we're seeing just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, total of 7 calls. One of the nice things I like about a lot of the compliance time reports is if you're within the compliance time, the font is green. If we're outside of that compliance time, the font is red. So it just grabs your eye when you're looking down the page. So remember, we had only 7 calls when we're filtering it with that multi-picker. If we come in to the actual report here, we're going to pick all zones now and create that report. We'll see a significant difference in the number of incidents that it pulled. Remembering that this particular account has very little data in it for 2020. We're down here at the bottom of it. We went from 7 total calls to 12 using that filter. Your data will be much different than this, and I'm sure this report could be multiple pages long. Now, so we have that multi-picker east and north zones that I created. If you need to edit that at any time, here's the trick about doing that. You have to use the pick multiple selection. And then if you have a multi-pick list that you created, it'll be listed here. You can select it here, and then you can update it and save it. I could have updated that title as well. So once again, to show you how to edit a multi-pick list, you select pick multiple, pick the multi-pick list you have, and then edit it and save by selecting OK. To remove one, we would select pick multiple, put in the correct multi-pick list we want to remove, select the little trash can over here and select OK, and that multi-pick list will be removed from the list that we had here. That's a little bit about the multi-pick list. Any list that you create and save, they're yours, they're nobody else's. So if somebody else is creating a multi-pick list to render the same exact data you're doing, they may have to talk to you and get the information from you. They may miss a particular field that they need to put in a multi-pick list to render the data off of. If they miss that, their data will be different than yours. These are individually owned by the person that created them. And that is the multi-pick versus a single pick demo that we have for you. One more thing to look at real quick, and we'll get to rounding up the questions from our guys that are back there in the background answering them for you. One more thing we're going to talk about is the report itself. when we develop it in the system is a PDF document. Let's get that a little bit bigger so we can see it. Now with this PDF document, you have some options at the top of the page. You can print it. You can print it to paper. And one thing I like to point out at all times is you should have this destination selection here. And one thing you can do with that is select to save it as a PDF. So you're going to save it electronically as a PDF document or print it out on paper. You can also download the report by selecting the down arrow, and we're going to download as you've been seeing me do throughout the presentation. Pops up right here, and I can open it up or save it, move it out to wherever I need to. Got a few more options out here. We can look at the 2-page view and look at annotations or not. Turn both of those off, and some more options. So we can fit to a page. We can use our zoom, and we can also change the orientation if we would like to. Got some more options available on the PDF version over here to the far left at the menu, and I can see a split screen it basically, see my pages, and then the full document is viewable over here. We'll select that, and the last two, and the ones I like the most, is you can take your PDF document right here and download it to an Excel spreadsheet by selecting this Excel download link. That's present at the upper right corner of every report. When we select that, it's going to download that as an Excel spreadsheet, and here is this data. I have to grab it off of my other screen, just one moment. And we'll select enable entering or editing. So that's that same exact data that we present out on an Excel spreadsheet. One of the useful things about this format, and I'm just going to come in here and take this particular report, and let's say this call processing time column, that data I don't need for this for the purposes I'm using it. Well, using all the features within Excel, I can just come in here and use a delete, and I just chop that particular column out. Let's say I don't need these passenger vehicle fire calls. I can just come out here by column or row and delete that particular data and use this report for whatever I need. You can do this in any report that we have out there that's available to you. And that's from the Excel download. Now, my favorite is actually doing a text download, which is right below the Excel download link. We'll jump on that text download, and this will just put the actual raw data out to a spreadsheet for us. And it looks like this. Most of the time, what you'll have to do is delete these top 3 rows like that. And you can take this particular data and perform different sorts on it if you need to. In this particular case, let's say I want to sort this by apparatus. So if I go out and grab all my data like this, then I can do a data sort, and my apparatus column is titled ID of apparatus. And there it is right there. And boom, I just did a sort based upon that particular column, and it kept all my other data squared away as well. So that's some of the things you can do. If you know how to do pivot tables, applying formulas into a spreadsheet, that's all the fun stuff you can do. It makes it a little bit easier when you do it from a text download. And I'm going to do a final check of my notes to make sure I covered everything that I had on them. And I will take a pause here and ask my coworkers out there, do we have any questions or things that we need to talk about? Do I need to maybe change presenter to one of you guys?
No, I think excellent job once again, Mark. You nailed it. I think we've answered all the questions that have come in. He was all over it. And one thing I want to mention that we just ran across, that if you run reports, and again, you have to be an admin for this, but if you run reports 1321, that's 1321, or 1280, 1280 for your apparatus list, and you notice there's like blank rows, chances are you have archived apparatus, which means you'll need to visit the maintenance module, go to apparatus, and there is a banker's box icon in the upper right corner, and you will be able to see if you have any archived apparatus, and you can purge them completely from your system so that those reports no longer pull those ghost apparatus. So 2 of us were tackling it. I don't know who else on the training team was helping, but we both came to the same solution with Mike Wood, and he's good to go. So whoever was my wingman on that, thank you. And Mike, I hope that helped you out.
So thanks, Tom. These are what he's talking about right here. I went to that archived apparatus section. I've got 3 ghost apparatus right here. And if you look back on the report, you'll see that right at the top of the page. That's them right there. And there's a couple other vehicles that are archived out there. I believe it's this, might be small text for you guys, P101, that I don't know why somebody archived that. However, that's out there, but it pulls it on this report because this report is pulling archived apparatus, something we maybe need to get to the footer there. What do you think, Tom?
I'm sorry, I was reading a question. Say that again, Mark.
There's no data, no information in this footer. That'd be an excellent opportunity for us to get some data.
Yeah, let's write that. Let's write that up. I know Brittany and her team are pretty responsive to updating those footers.
1321 includes archived apparatus.
1321 footer. Got it. Okay.
Perfect. Anything else from any other trainers that are hanging out there today? I appreciate, again, all of you folks for being with us today, and appreciate everybody for attending. We'll do one final call for some questions we might need to visit with everybody.
Hey, Mark, one quick comment, if you don't mind. When you were showing the functions there within Google Chrome, as far as the PDF and stuff like that, just please note that different browsers render that a little bit differently. So like I was just in Edge, and the view is a little bit different. The options are a little bit different. So those are browser related also.
Good point, Greg. I'm going to just mention that too, since you brought that up. I use Firefox quite a bit in addition to Chrome, and all my reports, when I ran the report, would open in a Adobe Acrobat window separate from the browser window, and there's a setting in Firefox, I can't remember how to get to it, that you can change that it brings the reports up just like they are here in Google Chrome. So take a look at that. If that's the case, you're seeing that, you don't want them to, you want to see them right in the same page here, there's a setting for your browser, like Greg was saying, that you can change. And I appreciate you reminding me of that. Thank you.
No worries. And there is a question out there from my friend Tony Lilo, and regarding printing an incident report. And this is something I've noticed myself, Tony, that I actually did talk to our reports team on. And basically that's just because the PCR portion of the incident report has been updated to what we call our V6. The rest of the incident report is still in what we call legacy format. And so I think what's going to happen, or what I've been advised by the reports team, is they expect that once you go to the print function after we've updated the incident to the new V6 module, the new look of things, all of those incident reports will print out the same. So that's what you're noticing.
And what Greg is talking about is I just ran this report on it wasn't a fire type incident, but it was the incident type is 461. So it's not an EMS call. There's no patient care report on it. It renders it like this, puts it out here to a tab, and it's that data in your browser that you then can print out if you need it on hard copy. The difference between the two is if we go back out to the grid, and I'll find one here real quick that's got a patient care report, such as this one, and to remind everybody, all this data in here is false data. We're going to, you can see here, we're printing out some PCRs, and when we do that function, if a PCR is involved with it, it renders it like this. And that's the difference that Greg was just talking about. We've had a couple conversations about that. Appreciate you bringing that up.
Hey, Mark, one last quick question as we close out today from Jason, and it's sort of indirectly regarding reports, but it's more about extraction of data via heat mapping. So using the mapping feature for incidents and zones. If you want to tackle that, you can. Otherwise, I can address it. But there is no advanced search for. There is an advanced search filter called Zone, Jason, on the tab there. If you go to Advanced Search and Incidents, and you'll be able to filter by zones or by a zone for the heat map view on your incidents module. So give that a shot and see if that's successful. Mark, you want to add anything on that?
No, the thing that we would like to see on this is a multi-picker as well, but
Yes.
let's just pick this one zone. And since we've got that, we're going to search.
And guys, keep those feature suggests coming in on our community forum, because we love to hear things that you'd like to see. And it's a direct line to our product owners, and they see those, and then you can vote them up, and it's still listened to, it's still looked at. And so like Mark says, having, we discover things that, it'd be cool if, it'd be cool to have some new things in here, but when it comes from our customers, it's even more meaningful. So definitely visit our community forum via the support button and chime in with your feature requests. We really appreciate that.
And this is an example of that filtering just by that one zone. The map looks like that. And if you can just kind of burn those little heat map into your brain there, what we're going to do is go back, and I'm going to change that zone from east to north, and we'll run a search. And we came up with a different result, 68 instead of 115. And when we go to the map view, we're going to see most of them up here like that. So we can't do that. This is really valuable information. I always pump that up. This mapping feature and the ability to run these heat maps for incidents is extremely valuable data for your admin folks and people doing planning for your department, for example. Okay, anything else, guys, to wrap it all up?
No, good job. I think we covered all the questions. Thanks for all the great questions to the participants. And then to you, Mark, for another excellent virtual Thursday, and to the training team for fielding, answers to the questions behind the scenes. And I know emails were going back and forth, so you guys were all over it. So nice job.
Yes, once again, thanks everybody for attending, and for our team, the training team in emergency reporting, thanks for attending. And I appreciate all of my co-workers for helping us out today. And we're going to put this one in for the record books for Virtual Thursday 2021 version 4. And we'll see you guys all next month. Thanks a bunch. Have a safe day.